a new school board member at Waco ISD. Hello again, everybody. My name is Dale Caffey. It's my pleasure to be with Mr. Colbert Murphy. He is the newest member of the Waco Independent School District Board of Trustees, recently elected to serve in the District 2 position, vacated by Alex Williams, a longtime member. Mr. Murphy, thank you so much for being here today, and welcome to Waco ISD. I guess let's start out by learning just a little bit about you personally and professionally, if you would.
Well, I'm a retired by de facto injury tennis pro. I see myself as an educator in all things that I do. I have two loves, my wife and my family will tell you, Hebrew and tennis. I enjoy both immensely. Tennis has offered me opportunities to share with people all over the world, you know, to address issues and marginalized populations that may, under normal circumstances, never even hear the message. And so I've tried to use tennis as the sugar on the meds to, you know.
When you were a tennis professional, in what city?
Oh, I've worked Milwaukee, I've worked in Florida, Jamaica, Bahamas,
Wow.
Lots of places. But for the most part, I look to offer my services in those markets that were underserved. Tennis is an incredibly expensive sport, and that's why we really don't have the participation in given markets. And so if you think about it, it's like, wow, we're really not tapping into some resources.
Right. Now, you recently moved back to Waco. Before we talk about the reason you moved back, let's talk about the fact that you are a native Wacoan. Is that correct?
That is correct. I was actually born here in Waco. My father was in the military, and my mother wanted me to be born close to family. And so my grandfather was a physics professor here, and my grandmother was actually an employee of the district, and she was a counselor on the J. Moore.
Okay.
So that means it was good for me to be born here.
Very good, very good. Now let's talk about the fact that you've moved back.
Moving back was under duress. I sustained basically a catastrophic injury. I lost my hip, and I could no longer survive in a given market. So I had to make a change. By the time I got here, I found myself really hurt in ways that they don't prepare you for in surgery. Surgery, they tell you, you know, this is what to expect physically, but no one equips you for the emotional injury. And I know that sounds like emotional injury, what is that? It's like, suck it up. But, you know, when you have your body cut on and you lose a piece of you and you come to that realization, it's not coming back. Even if they have medical advancements, too late for you, you
Right.
cut it and threw it away. So it hurt in ways that were beyond articulation. And so to get over that, I decided to become active and to try to help people get beyond the pitfalls that I myself had encountered, and to decide to take a proactive posturing and taking where I was in my life currently and helping others. And I felt that, you know, if I could get involved, if I could stay active, I could stop focusing on, you know, my pity party.
Right. Right, and thus you decided to run for the school board and you got elected. You probably answered this already partially, but why run for election to the Waco ISD School Board?
I believe we have a superior superintendent. We have somebody that, when it's time to have boots on the ground, she's ready to have boots on the ground and be in the pair of boots. You know, she has vision. Our board has vision. We have a city with a vision that is looking beyond the superficiality and the almost the greatest lie ever told, that there's such thing as black and white. And when I heard that we had a city and a school district that was ready to address institutional impoverishment and really deal with the issue head on, I was like, okay, here's my chance to deal with my own personal demons and get beyond my fear of my shortcomings and be the voice for thousands of fathers who are going through what I'm going through right now, and to be the eyes, the hands of the fathers that wish they could be there and be a part of the situation and felt like they had no voice. And so running for the school board was about taking a proactive posture and lending to a problem that, of course, I did help to create, but to lend to the solution, to say that, you know what, I have third-degree burns on my hand because I stuck my hand in hot grease. And if I take my hand out and I say, now look, I have third-degree burns, you probably shouldn't stick your hand in hot grease. And you're like, well, who are you to tell me I shouldn't put my hand in hot grease when you have your hand burned? Right. And you have to think to yourself, well, wow, here's a guy that sustained third-degree burns from submerging his hand in hot grease. And he's telling you, this is the effect of doing that. Right. It's not in your best interest. And so I felt that I could offer a perspective that many people have to offer, but who wants to put themselves in a position to be scrutinized on a microscope? Right. You know,
which is exactly what happened recently.
Yes.
And you are not one to back down from current events, be it that you're the person involved in the current events. Right. In a recent edition of the newspaper, the Waco Tribune-Herald, a school board elect member owes $45,000 in child support payments, whatever. Address that, because I think you wanted to.
Oh, definitely. And first, I want to say to that respected journalist and that professional, because it is a very sensitive issue. And how do you report and maintain a level of objectivity while still remaining sensitive to the subtle nuances of what could happen, the fallout? And so, you know, I definitely want to thank him for not putting the young lady in a light to be disparaged publicly, because of course she has friends and family, and you never want a person to look less than. Right. And so I appreciate all that he did on his end. But as it relates to me, you know, I bought full into a lie, something that wasn't real. I believed as a young man that the affection of a woman validated my manhood. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't even get your man stamp to clock in until you've been with a woman. And that's what we've been told. That's what we're telling our young people now. You know, I'm a rapper. I'm street credible. How do you know? Look at how many women I have. Mm-hmm. The more women, the more men. It's a correlation coefficient, right? I get it. And so I bought full into that. And relationship after relationship. And you know, when you're a young guy, what is a relationship? You know, you're in high school or whatever. But when you're in high school and you have to come to grips with, you know, rejection and things like that that are supposed to be grown-up issues, you're not equipped to deal with that as a teenager, you know. And as you enter your young 20s, you're thinking, all I want is acceptance, significance, and security, like everybody else on the face of the planet. And I bought full into the idea that I can be accepted through the affection of a woman. I can be significant because of this affection of a woman. You know, I can be a god, right? Because that's, you know, that's what happens. It's a God complex. But the other side of it is that if no one takes anything else away from this, what I want young men to know is that if you attempt to validate your manhood, if you attempt to quantify yourself as a person through base exploits, because anybody can do it. So if the only reason you're important as a man is because of your performance, then that's so easily encroached upon. You become a head case. You become insecure. And if you become insecure, you become violent. If you're violent, you're dangerous. And no healthy relationship should be governed with intimidation. And so if I say anything to young men, don't engage in that type of behavior, because it's destructive. And for our young women, just because a young man says, hey, you have wonderful assets, mm-hmm. you know, that doesn't qualify you as a woman. And you should be greater than that, bigger than that. A person should be able to appreciate the substance of your character, to be able to develop a rapport to the degree that they understand how you think, what makes you who you are, as opposed to the physiological attributes, you know. And so that's the biggest thing. I got a chance to be on the board, and that means I get a chance to say, look, these are the hands of 1,000 fathers who at one point got a chance to change their little baby boy or little baby girl's diaper, and they never got a chance to see him again. Mm-hmm. These are the eyes of 1,000 fathers who have cried 1,000,000 tears, the voice of 1,000 fathers who have yelled to the point that they can't yell anymore. You know, who do they go to? Who listens to them? I accept full responsibility for my shortcomings. I accept full responsibility and how my action bankrupted me. Right. Why should anybody else's child have to fall in a hole where I know where the hole is? If I say, hey, on Main Street, there's a huge hole, Why should I not share that information?
Right. And thus, what you were talking about a moment ago about putting the hands in the hot grease,
Exactly.
you learned and want to keep somebody else from experiencing the same issues in their life.
Oh, exactly. I mean, because it's not what you see on television. You know, you don't have theme music. You don't hold each other and live happily ever after. It doesn't work that way. You find out that, wow, there is rejection. People can say, I don't want you, you know, and you have to deal with that because life is not television, you know.
Talk about the philosophy, I guess, and you answered a lot of this with your answer on that one, but the philosophy that you bring to the Board of Trustees.
Getting parents plugged into the process. A lot of times we are quick to point the finger at our administrator. This is fault. It's our principals, our teachers aren't teaching our kids. And I'm like, whoa, slow down a second. I have your child for 8 hours a day. We are extended family. And as extended family, let's have a dialogue on how I can assist you. You know, the philosophy is very simple. How do we get parents plugged into the process so they feel they are part of the process? You know, it's not like I'm sending my kid off to you and whatever happens, happens. Our parents need to feel that they are an integral part of the process. And sometimes we have to take parents kicking and screaming if necessary. You know, how do we incentivize it? How do we make it appealing? How do we impress upon minds that it's so important? And not just parents. How do we reach out to the fathers who have been disenfranchised? How do we reach out to the fathers that are incensed to no degree, measurable degree, that here's my child failing, not going to school, and the reason he's not going is because the school calls and says, well, I'm going to call and talk to your mama. Well, what is mama going to do to a boy that's 5'9", 165 pounds? Really? If he decides he's not going to school, there's nothing she can do. Nothing. So that means that what we had in place to ensure the development and the inherent viability of the offspring is now gone. You know, I respect my mother, love my mother. I've never had a drink in front of my mom, and I'm super grown, right? I don't curse in front of mom, you know, and it's not because she's going to spank me. I have a respect for my mom. When I look at the relationship I had with my stepfather, as a young man, and a little kid, we would all play football, we had friends, and a young lady came by the house. And when the street lights came on, I was already in the house. That was the rule. It was the commandments. Mm-hmm. You are in the house. And so the doorbell rings. My father goes to answer the door, and he comes back to me and says, can you please tell me why there's a young lady at my door? I don't recall asking a young lady to come see me. She was asking for you, but this is my house. And so she must be here to see me, but I don't recall inviting her to come see me. We have a dilemma. And I could feel my heart, because I'm just like, I'm gonna die. She got me killed. She doesn't even know it, But he's like, let me tell you what I want you to do, son. You go walk this young lady straight to her house. You engage her parents when she gets there, and you let them know, I just want to ensure that she got here safely. Please have a good evening. You come straight back here and you come find me. So, of course, the whole way back, I can't even hardly talk. My voice is, because I know it's such a long way home, but such a short walk, But what he told me, he said, listen, son, if anything would have happened to that young lady, they'd have built a new facility on top of you. And that's just the truth of the situation. That's where we are as a society.
Sounds like a wonderful man.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I say this with no apology. I do regret that there was a dissolution in my mother's relationship in that area because they knew what was healthy for them, but what it did do for me, it took away the strong man, Mm-hmm. And so whereas there was no way I ever would have touched a woman until I was married, well now I'm like, really? Yeah. I'm looking at these videos and they're telling me I'm not a man until, so I got to go be a man, whereas he's like, I'm a man. And there's only one man in this house.
Exactly.
Very good. So I bring the perspective of having that advantage, even though not fully capitalizing on it. Right. I bring the perspective of someone who deals with the pain, the humiliation of not even being able to raise my own child, right? To know that my child could have been at Johns Hopkins, but because I didn't get a chance to do what should have been my inherent right to do, there's no shame. The newspaper article, that's nothing compared to the embarrassment, the humiliation of not being able to contribute to your child's development. And there are thousands of men in my district alone who every day are seething to no end because they are injured almost beyond healing, because they have been stripped for some reason or another, even if it was just arbitrarily stripped, of their right and their job to lend to the nurturing and the development of their offspring.
And that's something that doesn't change overnight, but you have to do it one building block at a time, I guess.
Yes.
You have 1 year on your term right now because you are filling the unexpired term of Alex Williams. It expires May of 2015. What next? Do you see this as hopefully a long-term relationship with the board?
I want to serve the board to the best of my ability in the capacity that they want. We have a vision, and my job is to make sure that the vision doesn't bypass those that could stand to be in the line of sight.
Right.
And it's also my duty to make sure that I disseminate effectively the vision to the district. As it relates to long term, if they see me as a viable instrument, then so be it. But as it is right now, we have a marvelous vision, and we're going full force towards reintegrating fathers in the process, reaching out and making sure we mobilize what we need to mobilize to make sure that fathers are not disenfranchised. Because right now, we could drop truancy rates, we could drop discipline rates just by getting the fathers back in.
Right. You are part of a 7-person team,
That's correct.
8 when you count the superintendent. Have you had any experience in the past in working on a school board or a board of some time where you had the teamwork involved?
Yes, I've worked on a marvelous board here in the city that deals with dismantling institutionalized marginalism. A marvelous board. And in that, we learn the quintessence of teamwork. Because in order to engage people, you have to see them as a team member. Not just the people on the board, but the people on the outside that you have to connect with. And so I'm definitely looking forward to being a part of the process.
Have you had a chance to meet some of your fellow team members?
Yes, actually, I have. Wonderful people. And it's amazing how you can know someone in a different arena and be like, oh, wow, you're over there too, So the board members are pillars in the community, and the things that they do even beyond the scope of WISD should be heralded, So it's not like I'm coming to a situation where I don't have some ties with some people, right. and the fact that I do see them as people and I've had interaction with them beyond this means that I can trust them. I can listen to them and I know exactly where they're coming from. I don't have this sense of estrangement, like it's me versus them, and I don't, that's, and I appreciate that because it's intimidating, and it really is, because it's like you're coming in and you're not the smartest guy in the room, by any stretch of the imagination, and to be seated in the midst of people, who are bright, in ways that, when they say something, you'd almost have to go read an academic article just to understand, so.
There's going to be times when there's 7-0 votes, 7-0. There's going to be 6-1, but then there's going to be those 4-3 votes.
Yes.
Either you're on the winning side with 4 or the losing side with 3. Have you had that experience before? And if not, how do you envision yourself dealing with a 4-3 vote on either side?
Well, the board as a consortium, we're always looking for homeostasis. We're a body. Mm-hmm. And there are going to be times where the left leg is tired and the right leg has to pick up. And that's how I see it. It's not a winning or losing side. It is a complement to maintain homeostasis, because it really boils down to we have this vision, and then there are these little microcosms that offer perspectives, and then we come together and we say, okay, well, we know the direction we need to go. You know, my constituency, not the constituency, but my district's voice is this. My district's voice is this, but we still know the direction we need to go. And so no one on the board has a problem with moving in the direction that is best for the entire district. Now, sometimes it takes a little while to see how the macro perspective can impact the micro. You know, and that's the biggest thing, because your district could be like, I don't understand why you do this, and then in 10 years it's like, oh, I see. You know,
The board deals with two major things, and that is adopting policy and then adopting a budget. And of course, lately, the budgets have been tight. We've seen the state legislature take away and then put a little back. Have you had an experience in working with budgetary matters to where you can't stretch the dollars? I know personally we all do that.
Yes. You know, but the advantage that WISD has versus my situation is that we, as a district, have a vision. And everything that we have, all of our assets, whether human resource assets or financial assets, real estate assets, are moving towards that vision. As it relates to the budget, I know that every time we sit down and talk about the budget, it boils down to what is in the best interest of the product. And the product is the child. So that means that as it relates to product development, everything that we do as the board, everything that we do as a district, from food services, is designed to produce a better product. And so I have no doubt, and it gets tight, right? That's what it is. It's called a budget, right? You only have so much bread to feed to so many children. And that's just what it boils down to. But at the end of the day, I'm a big believer in the miracle, the feeding of the multitude, and whatever tradition that is taught in. Because the reality is, as a district, everybody gets to eat. Because we can have one piece of bread, and we can feed everybody in Waco. I didn't say everybody is going to be full, but everybody gets to eat. And when we have that mindset, that singular focus, that no matter how little bread we have, everybody gets to eat, then we start seeing, oh, I see why we were doing this. The vision becomes clear.
Once again, we're speaking with Mr. Colbert Murphy, the newest elected member of the Waco ISD Board of Trustees. In closing, I didn't mention this, you're actually a Waco High School graduate, is that right?
That is correct. Waco High, 1991.
Okay.
Beautiful people. And when I say beautiful, I'm talking about what inspires greatness. I came here with great hopes. I experienced teachers that were never say quit. You know, when this is, like I said, I even said it in the paper, this was before No Child Left Behind. They made sure there were children that dealt with serious issues, but they loved those children and they were willing to do what was necessary for their success. And so I'm thankful to people like Mr. Zachary, who has passed on, Miss Washington, Miss Smith Washington, you know, Mr. Jacobs, you know, so many that I could just go on and on and on, you know, but, you know, they were critical because they were like extension of the family. Miss Doris King, you know, they were family, they pushed, they believed, you know, and that's why I loved, and that's why I wanted to come back, because I want people to leave Waco High. I want people to leave every institution within our district with that profound sense of belonging, so they don't have to find it somewhere else. They know they belong. They know that people love them and wanted the best for them.
Great. Mr. Colbert Murphy, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate your openness and honesty and hitting those issues head on. And keep up the great work as you start working with the Waco ISD Board of Trustees.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Once again, this is Colbert Murphy, District 2 representative of the Waco Independent School District Board of Trustees.